Japanese strike force is now 400 miles from Hawaii. On the bridge of the Japanese aircraft carrier Akagi, Vice Admiral Nagumo receives a final message from the spy in Pearl Harbor.
On the eve of this attack, it doesn't look like there are going to be any American aircraft carriers in the harbor. That's a real disappointment. But at the same time, there's also an understanding that there are plenty of battleship targets and other worthy targets there.
出発する前の夜は特にやっぱ落ち着いていましてですね、死ぬということに関してはですね、飛行機で乗って出たらもう覚悟してなくてならないと普段から思っていますので、特にですね、ハワイ行くので死ぬってことを怖いと思わなかったです。
Then, just outside Pearl Harbor, US sailors spot an unusual submarine-like vessel in the defensive area.
It was always that thought that the wooden fin modifications on the aerial torpedoes would not work. So the Japanese had a backup plan in the form of 5 miniature submarines.
Pearl Harbor is an experiment of new military devices that has been not used in Second World War until that time. One of the weapons developed was a midget submarine. They would be carried by mother submarines and launched.
They're about 80 feet long, 6 feet wide at the widest part, and they're very, very cramped. There's only 2 people inside of the sub, very, very hot conditions. It's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit inside of the sub. And basically, the whole purpose of them is to sneak into Pearl Harbor to have extra torpedo power.
The final part of the message from the Japanese government outlining their intention to end peace talks is intercepted by naval intelligence and sent to Washington.
It had wording to the effect that in light of the views of the Japanese government, all negotiations should be terminated. And it almost read like a declaration of war.
But this was all part of the Japanese plan.
The reason the Japanese did this was because they wanted in later days to be able to tell people that we did warn the Americans.
Significantly, the message instructs the Japanese ambassador to deliver it at 1 p.m. Washington time, which is 7:30 a.m. in Hawaii.
That caused enough concern that maybe something was going to happen at 1 o'clock that Washington began to prepare messages for Hawaii and elsewhere to alert them to the significance of that.
Such vital warning messages would normally be sent straight through military channels. But there's a problem.
The problem was that the radio circuits between Washington and Honolulu were not good that morning. So they had to resort to sending them by commercial means.
The crucial message is sent via Western Union instead. It won't arrive in Hawaii until 7:33 a.m., just 15 minutes before the Japanese attack actually begins.
It's not marked as being high priority, and so the staff there kind of, put it in the medium priority messages.
Meanwhile, on board the carrier Soiru, pilots and crews get ready for the attack.
間違って撃たれて落下傘で降りたら大変だが捕虜になるから落下傘のバンドをつけるのやめようってことでハワイに行くときは落下傘バンドをつけないで来ました。全員。
At 6 a.m., the strike force is now 180 miles northeast of Hawaii, and the first wave of 183 planes takes off from the Japanese carriers.
暗くてよく見えない時にから発艦しだしたんですけれども、戦闘機が9機先に発艦してきまして、浮力がつけなくてそのまま海にして一気落っこちましたが。
Their plan is to fly in 2 waves, one after the other, with the torpedo bombers starting the attack on the harbour and the airfields being hit straight after.
The first wave has 40 torpedo bombers, which would try to sink the American battleships. And then there were 50 horizontal high-level bombers to attack the inboard battleships.
They are supported by dive bombers and fighters and are led by Commander Mitsu Fushida. Back at Pearl Harbor, the Americans once again spot a submarine-like vessel.
The USS Ward spots it, and they fire at it. Their first shot misses, but then their second shot hits. And they're pretty certain that they have sunk whatever this is. The crew of the USS Ward didn't know it yet, but they have just fired the first American shots of the Second World War.
A message is sent into Pearl Harbor. We have fired and depth charged a submarine operating within the defensive sea area.
That message, unfortunately, began to only creep up the chain of command.
There have been so many instances of reports of subs that turn out to be false that the report really doesn't go anywhere.
Meanwhile, at Apana Point on the northern tip of Oahu, radar operators spot what appears to be a large number of planes approaching rapidly.
Privates Joseph Lockhart and George Elliott of the Aircraft Warning Service noticed a large target which appeared on their oscilloscopes. It was larger than any other sighting they had seen before. And they watched it for a few minutes and they said, "We really do need to report this."
"13 minutes after the sighting, they call a switchboard operator who relays the message to the officer in charge, First Lieutenant Kermit Tyler.
Kermit Tyler remembered what a friend had told him, that when flights of American B-17s came in from the West Coast, KGMB broadcast Hawaiian music all night long as a navigation aid. And when Kermit heard this, he recalled that he had been listening to Hawaiian music during the drive, and he concluded, well, this is probably these B-17s.
It was to be a tragic mistake.
He knew nothing about radar, was only there because he had been told to be there all night so that he could see how radar identification worked. And he told the two guys at Apana Point, don't worry about it.
The delayed message from Washington, warning military bases to be on high alert, finally arrives at the RCA telegraph office in Honolulu.
A messenger shows up and puts it into his parcel, hops on his motorcycle. But given the traffic in Honolulu at that time, it takes him an inordinately long time to actually get through the traffic and out to Pearl Harbor. And so the message does not arrive until it's too late.
At the same time, Admiral Kimmel is getting ready to play golf when news of the mini-sub skirmish arrives.
When Kimmel gets word that a submarine has been attacked at the entrance of the harbor, it's obviously of great concern. He cancels the golf game with General Short, is in the process of getting himself ready to go back to his headquarters so that he can start getting a better handle on the situation.
Just off the coast of Oahu, the first wave of Japanese planes arrives.
下を見ますと今までのような雲じゃなくて雲が半分ぐらいになって下がよく分かるようになりました。丸みを帯びた白い線が見えました。これは陸地だなっていうことはすぐ分かりました。
The residents of Hawaii said, "Oh my heavens, this is just another one of these stupid drills." And for the longest time, they did not pay any attention to it.
Japanese planes fill the skies above Oahu and await a crucial signal from their leader, Mitsu Fushida, to attack.
If one flare went out, surprise had been achieved. If two flares are shot out, surprise had not been achieved. So that would alter the way the attack would take place.
But things don't go as Fushida plans.
They get there, they find nobody's expecting them, so the attack is a surprise. Mitsuo Fushida fires his flare, but he doesn't think one of his flight leaders has noticed this because he doesn't get in the correct pattern. So he decides he's gonna fire a second flare just to make sure everybody has seen it. But another one of his flight leaders, when he sees that second flare, he thinks it has been a double flare and he is supposed to attack immediately. So he ends up pulling out of formation, leading his planes in to attack.
This misunderstanding means that the island's airfields will now be hit first before the slower torpedo bombers arrive and hit the battleships in the harbor.
What should happen is the torpedo planes attack first because they're going to be very vulnerable to anti-aircraft fire. And once the dive bombers attack, there's going to be a lot of smoke and explosions, which is going to make the targeting run for the torpedo planes more problematic as well.
Wheeler Airfield in central Oahu is the first to be hit, followed by Kanahoe Air Station in the east of the island.
We were heading over to get breakfast, and as we walked out the barracks door, a Japanese plane flew by. And since the Army had been having maneuvers, I said, "Oh, look, the Army's making this really look real. They've painted the plane like a Japanese plane, and they're pretending that they're attacking us."
I was assigned to the aircraft on the water for that day. We had planned the training, and I was getting ready to do that. I heard aircraft flying and looked out, and I saw a formation of planes coming. I don't know if I was hit on the first run or the second, but I could see where the bullets were hitting. Little squirts of water coming up through the bottom, and then the bullets obviously penetrated the gas tanks, and the plane just went up in flame very, very rapidly.